The TS-5. What an interesting vehicle this is. Now, I always like to play a fair few games in the tanks before I make a video on them, and the TS-5 is no exception. And in those battles, I had players say the tank is completely broken or the tank is completely trash, and in some cases, don't buy the tank. And I think all these players actually make some pretty good points about the TS-5. It has some very strong points going for it. Its gun in particular, we're talking 3100 DPM, 258 base pen on the AP, 340 base on the heat. It is essentially the same gun you get on the T125, the tier 10 heavy tank. Good gun, very strong, and I do like the gun a lot. However, it is balanced very hardcore by the other characteristics, such as the armor profile, which is quite atrocious in my opinion. This entire lower plate section, anywhere below this little line you see right underneath the gun manlet, is pretty much an auto pen. You have this giant hatch on top that is extremely easy to pen as well. So yeah, good luck trying to go hull down in this tank, and to further exacerbate the issues this tank faces, it only gets 5 degrees of gun depression, so going hull down is an option on most maps anyways. And of course, you also struggle to even get to a position that's hull down because you have a 26 km/h top speed. While that's not the worst in tier 8, you know, tanks like the T28 would dream of that mobility, it certainly isn't great either. And overall, the tank just feels kind of meh. Now, I sound kind of negative about the T28, and that's because I really wouldn't recommend you guys as players buying it, which is kind of agreeing with that third statement I saw in the games I was playing. It is really not much better than the Tech Tree T28, I would say, which has a very similar gun, slightly less penetration, a little less mobility, a much better armor profile after the buffs, in my opinion, and it's in crates. So for a crate tank at tier 8, there are way better TDs you can get. For instance, the WZ-120 GFT. That tank, I don't think it's even in crates anymore, is just so strong in comparison. It has good DPM, has good armor, and it goes like, what, 35 km/h? It is much faster than this. So in the end, the TS-5 as a tank, I do like it for some weird reason. I do kind of enjoy playing this vehicle, but on the whole, I think it is a pretty meh tank, right? That's just what it is. That's just how you describe it. It's like, meh, it could be better, it could be worse. It just kind of does its thing, and if you put it in the right scenario, it certainly can play well. So we're going to demonstrate how I play this vehicle, and the best way to review them live is with live gameplay. So we're just going to jump into it here and see if we can get some shots in towards this Emil 2 here. Now, this is a nasty kind of heavy tank that we don't necessarily want to take on a frontal engagement. However, we do have way better DPM than something like the Emil. So we're going to kind of hold this corner, and these are okay hold on positions because you can use these little hills as kind of cover. But the issue is tanks like that Emil 1 would just rip me to pieces if I pressure him. So I got to take this engagement very kind of carefully here. I don't want to push onto the Emil and take a clip from him at all. That would just be not so good for me. Instead, I'm just going to kind of hold here, see if I can get shots on the Emil 1. And if my team start pressuring this Emil 2, then it's my opportunity to push in on him. But you can see the Emil 2 is waiting for me. He expects me to push here, so we're just going to keep holding. Our Conway gets absolutely hammered there, and you know what, since the Emil 2 has already fired a couple of shots, I think, oh no, that's a very unfortunate shot to ricochet there. We're going to try and corner peek against this Emil here and just farm him up. Now we have way better DPM than something like an Emil 2, and you can see we're already managing to ricochet one shot off there just by kind of angling up properly to put another shot into him. And that is the advantage of the TS-5. You take it to an engagement like this where you're exposing your armor profile for a very minimal amount of time, and you're just slapping people with that DPM. And that poor Emil 2, yeah, he didn't stand much of a chance at all, if I'm honest with you. We're going to take one from the Emil 1 possibly, but he doesn't manage to hit me. So now I can start pressuring this tier 9 heavy tank. Let's put a shot into this AMX 5120 here. Has no problem penetrating me through the side. He didn't even hit me in my big old weak spot there. He just kind of penned me straight through the side. We do manage to ricochet one though, which put another shot to the top of his tank. And my team is getting pretty much hammered here. I'm just going to wait for this SU to fire. SU has fired. I think the AMX is now reloading his clip, so let's put another shell into him. We should be able to pick up a kill on him, and this is actually a very kind of well-played game by me in something like the TS-5. We're going to pick up a kill on their 2 top-tier heavy tanks, and now we're going to try and get safe from the SU, who's probably going to poke me soon. I need to get out of this crossfire, and we need to kill tanks like this Emil 1 here. So we're going to put a shell into him. We're going to try and avoid the Scorpion here, who is looking at me, but yeah, that's not a very good scenario to be in. We're going to actually pick up the Scorpion, because the Emil 1's on a reload, so we pick up a nice little kill on the Scorpion here. The Emil is in front of me, and we're just kind of holding this flank. And I think this was a very good example of the TS-5 doing an okay job. Of course, we are still losing our hit points here, most unfortunately, but on the whole, we made such a tremendous impact to this team. Okay, there's an ISU. We're going to pull back for the ISU. Don't want to get killed by him. My main priority right now is just to stay alive. Our ST1 is a top-tier heavy tank. He should be able to hold this side very well. As long as I hold here and stay tight, we're going to pick up... Oh, no, the ST1 gun blocked me. We might go down to the Super Pershing. Super Pershing gets taken out there. ISU is starting to push forward here. We're going to wait till he fires, and then we'll pop some shots into him. So, we're just going to wait for the ISU here. Hopefully he shoots at our ST1. The ISU is stock, I believe, so I'm not too concerned about him, but if he HEs me, he can definitely one-tap me here. So, gonna take it easy. Just wait for the ISU to fire. ISU is just shot. Good stuff. Let's pull forward here, aim for a shot on his lower plate. We should have him on DPM here very, very easily. I don't think... Okay, he might just be able to escape from me. Might, if he does... no, ST1. There we go. Managed to pick up a nice kill on him as well. Good stuff. Okay, this was a very intense first game in the TS-5 for today's video, but it was a good example of the TS-5 in its prime. And like I said, I do enjoy the tank when you put it in the right scenario. Its DPM is so killer, and we had absolutely no problem penetrating tanks like the ML2 there, right? It was a very kind of quick, easily played game, and now we're just on the hunt for something like the FE301, who is probably going to get himself killed before I can kill him, but you know what? Maybe. Okay, my controls are flaking out a little bit. Maybe we'll be able to get a good shot on him during the crossing here. Put a nice shell into his tank there, 354. And yeah, solid number. This is definitely going to be an ace tanker. We've dealt 5,000 damage, and as this is a pretty new tank and a tank that a lot of people don't perform well in, I will not be surprised if this is an ace tanker at all. Let's put a kill shot into this dude here. 5 kills, 5,300 damage or so. That is... Ooh, what a game to start out with the TS-5. Here I am being so critical of the tank, and we actually managed to perform very well there. But it was all about the timing and just utilizing the timing right. Okay, 5,150. I thought it was 5,200. My mistake. It wasn't 5,300. Yeah. So I think this goes to what I say. The tank can perform when you put the gun in the right scenario, but if you don't have your gun in the right scenario and you don't have the right amount of meat shields with you to take shots for you, you're gonna die so fast. That was kind of an exception game, I would say, for the TS-5. Now, I have done a few 6,000 damage games here and there in the vehicle as well, but that one's probably my favorite game so far, as it was just a great example of utilizing the TS-5 to its strengths. Going kind of haul down, corner peeking, using that DPM against tanks that have far inferior DPM, and just ripping them apart that way. So a solid game. Now for the second match, we are on the map Naval Frontier. We're top tier this time, so that's great. And I don't expect this game to be as brilliant because look at what my team's doing. So I like to go to the mid here, but I don't think it's a good idea to send, what, 7 tanks to the mid, which is what my team is doing right now. I wanted to kind of pre-aim the crossing, maybe get some early shots off, but my team has sent the entirety of their forces here, which means we can get flanked from that side, we can get flanked from the left. Our T-71 decided life is just not worth living anymore. Let's see if we can pick up a nice quick kill shot on this T-25-2 there, though. So we are able to pick up a nice little kill shot there. I am happy about that. And oh boy, these matches are weird. Okay, let's see. I don't want to block this SU, but I also want to be in a position where I can farm enemy tanks when they push forward. Unfortunately, this SU needs to retreat, and I'm not going to block him. Dude, are you going to pull back or not? That's the question of the day. Unfortunately, this SU is kind of just sitting in my way, which kind of sucks, but looks like the enemy team are about to make a pressure down low here, so I'm going to need to wait for that pressure. I'm not going to push in just yet, because I think I will get shots on vehicles like this IS-3. There we go, getting a lovely little shell into the side of his tank there. Good stuff. We're just going to hold up top here and try and farm this out while we can, because there's no need for me to pressure forward when the enemy team are going to do that for me. So let's put a shot into this Tiger 1 here. Good stuff. We know where the Smasher is, so now that's the most deadly tank kind of out of this fight. Tiger might give me another shot. Not quite. He pulled back just in time. Good for him. I'm just going to kind of keep holding here. Okay, Tiger's making a mistake. We're going to push onto his tank there, taking his tracks off. Hopefully, Annihilator can pick him up. Not quite. That's fine. I'm still not too concerned with how things are going. We have the DPM here to probably kill the Tiger. The DPM is killer on this tank. You get the DPM singing, you're going to have a good time. Okay, IS-3 is below us, and there's that 5 degrees of gun depression. Not even letting me shoot down on this IS-3 here, but okay, okay, we just kind of need to push this side now. Let's put a shot. Okay, well, that Tiger IS-3 gets absolutely annihilated. Okay, let's start pressuring this side then. Comet might give me a kill shot soon, but it looks like there's a Progetto flanking us. And you know what? I'm going to go for the Progetto. If I put myself in the right kind of situation, we can farm up damage pretty easily on him, and he hopefully won't be able to flank me because I have a lot of kind of solid cover where I am. So let's see if we can spot up this Progetto at all. He has to be close by. There he is. We can put a nice shell into his tank there. And if he does attempt to rush me, he's going to, yeah, he's going to get ripped apart very quickly here. So we're just going to hold our position here. I don't want to necessarily push out from my hill, because if I push out from the hill, that's going going to really expose me to the Progetto's mobility. And trust me, he has far superior mobility over me. And this game is still pretty close. Let's see if we can perma-spot this Progetto at all by just kind of climbing up this hill a little bit. There he is. Okay. We're going to back up here, and the reason I'm backing up is I don't want to let this Progetto behind me. There we go. We managed to block the Progetto here. We have lost most of our hit points to him, but if we wedge him out here just right, we can pick up the kill. And that was the right play to make. Sure, I could have turned on that hill, but come on, the traverse speed isn't really that great. If I tried to do that, would have been absolutely ripped apart. Putting another shot into the Comet there. And, once again, a pretty solid game for the TS-5. I don't like this because, you know, just a little while ago before making this video, when I was playing my random games, I was doing like maybe 2,000 damage flat. Wasn't having the best battles. And now I'm start recording, the games are going great. I guess that's just how it is sometimes. But, you know, the tank can perform. But I think the point I want to make here is the tank isn't necessarily better than something like a T28. In fact, I'm thinking that instead of showing you a third game in the TS-5, you already have an idea of how the tank performs, how its armor profile can be pretty easily overmatched. It would probably be better if I could just show you the T28 as well, because that is like the main competitor. It's kind of like the twin, unidentical twin to the TS-5. Now, another pretty solid game, 3,300 damage. Not going to complain about that for a tier 8 tank to start. And if I'm honest with you, I am averaging just under 3,000 average in this tank for about 30 games. So yeah, I do average pretty well in it and about a 70% win rate. But I think this tank is very similar. So let's jump into a third game with the T28, just to kind of show you that you can get a very similar vehicle for absolutely free. After all, the T28 is a tech tree vehicle, and it has very similar characteristics. In fact, it has pretty much an identical gun minus the penetration. So it has, I think the T28 has like sub 300 pen on its, I think it's APCR shells, so that isn't the best, but like it's tier 8. You're gonna still have no problem dealing with most tier 8 and tier 7s you run against with that penetration anyways. It is a little slower, 20 top speed, but you do get super speed boost, same gun depression of 5 degrees, a much better armor profile in my opinion. So let's try and make the T28 work. And this is just to show you that you can just get a pretty much identical vehicle in the form of a T28. Now this may go great, may not. I really have never really played this tank, although I've played a few games in it recently just to kind of compare it, and they feel very comparable. So the first game here, it is on Faust, and I think what I'm going to do here, I could go heavy or I could go medium. We're going to go heavy side, and the only reason I'm doing that is, okay, sorry for Bobby, is because the tank is so slow. It's better if you put yourself in a situation where you're kind of with your team or with where most of the enemy heavies will go and farm them out that way, but oh my. My team had a change of heart. Okay, so my team is just kind of all over the place. They don't know if they want to go up. They don't know if they want to go right or mid. I kind of wanted to go right because it's a much better heavy tank engagement, but you know what? We're not going to worry about it. What's interesting is the enemy team are making kind of an early cap play here, and obviously they haven't sent tanks up there because no one's been spotted. I wonder if I can drop down onto this VK and make his life just a little bit miserable. This is a pretty aggressive play, and putting your T28 into a ditch usually isn't a great idea, but I feel like most of their team's going to be pushing up. If we play this right, we might be able to get some free farm on this vehicle. And oh boy, you can see just how slow this tank is though. It is atrociously slow. Okay, so here's the VK. We're going to pull behind him. We're going to pop a shell into him. You can see similar alpha, similar gun characteristics, and of course, similar DPM. So you put yourself in a situation like this, and you're going to be absolutely ripping apart vehicles like this VK. It looks like that Bulldog's going to drop down in a moment. We'll pick up a quick kill shot on the VK here. Unfortunately, wasn't able to reload in time. Now we're just going to back up before this Bulldog has an opportunity to flank me here, which he might be considering. Okay, he decided not to. Good play on him, actually. You know what? We might get a shell into T-44. I don't know. We're just spending this whole game kind of running around like maniacs chasing after damage here. Here's the Bulldog. Bulldog's running away. I'm going to get out of here because I don't like sitting in that ditch. I feel like I'd be much better off slightly higher up on this engagement. And looks like the Chrysler K is pushing in on the other side. So how are we going to pull through here? Let's activate our speed boost. This is a risky crossing with all those TDs there, but I feel like, oh, you know what? We got to pick up a kill on this dude, though. I feel like we can be fine here. We're just going to pull up to the silo where we'll get safe. The Bulldog's going to try and make a break for it, so let's pop a nice shell into his tank there. There we go. And, like, does this feel any different from the TS-5 in terms of, like, actual gameplay? Sure, it's a little bit slower, but overall, the tanks feel pretty identical. Let's put a traction on this Tiger P here. Hopefully he doesn't have a repair kit so we can put another shell into him very quickly. I feel like he's going to poke out again because he'll feel as if he has better DPM than me, but he definitely does not. So let's wait for the Tiger to make a mistake. He's almost making it. Let's take his tracks off again. 500 max roll. I mean, this feels very similar to a TS-5. The only difference is this tank actually has a lot of armor frontally, which allows you to be much more flexible than something like the TS-5 in a lot of scenarios. Let's load up an APCR shell. We might be able to clutch a kill shot on the back of this Tiger's turret. Oh, 320 minimum roll there pretty much. Okay, so we're going to pull away from this Chrysler K who's pushing in on me. We're just going to kind of turn around from him. Not too worried. My traverse speed is so slow. Let's push onto his tracks here. Very good frontal shots. And you can see frontally, he actually is struggling to penetrate me here. So let's try and sneak another shell into him. Unfortunately, that one goes a little bit high. Tiger is not really paying attention to me. So let's just push it on this Chrysler K here. He doesn't really know what he's doing, I feel like. I don't know why he didn't shoot me there. Traverse speed. There we go. Get the track shot I was looking for. And our Eagle is driving like a complete maniac right now. But, I mean, this is 3,000 damage dealt. And how was this much different from the TS-5 in reality? Now, I spent that whole game just wandering back and forth trying to get damage, but the enemy team weren't too eager to shoot me there, were they? Because frontally, this tank actually has armor, and you could see that that Chrysler K was a little bit confused. He was looking at my tank and he was like, wait, why can't I pen that middle plate? Well, it's because Wargaming recently gave this tank a massive armor buff along this middle plate that made it extremely tough. I believe the sides as well. So the T-20 is a great tank. It plays almost identical to the TS-5, except for being just a little bit slower, but it gets a little bit better armor. Nice little trade-off there. And that's kind of my review on the TS-5. I think, you know, if you want in your collector, go for it. It's up to you. I'm not going to tell you to buy a tank. I certainly won't be buying it. You know, it performs okay. And we did have some extraordinary games in the vehicle. It's just, I don't see a point to buying a tank like this. If you want a slow DPM TD tier 8, well, then get a T-28. This tank after the buff is actually very much not bad anymore. It actually is a decent performer nowadays. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's review on the TS-5. Please feel free to like the video for more content to come, as well as subscribe. You guys are awesome, and I will catch you all another day.